Hello again. Um, we've been through 8 books so far in the Old Testament. Tonight I'm going to read the first book of Samuel. Samuel was a prophet. And this is kind of lengthy, so I'm just going to do the best I can to stay with the program and because I'm getting as much out of this as you are, and I tend to scan something and see something, and then I have to say something. So anyway, let's get going. This is first book of Samuel, the family of Elkanah. Now there was a certain man of Ramathaim Zophim of the mountains of Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, an Ephraimite, and he had 2 wives. The name of one was Hannah, the name of the other Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. This man went up from his city yearly to worship and sacrifice to the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. We're still talking about Elkanah. Also the 2 sons of Eli, Ophni and Phinehas, the priests of the Lord, were there. And whenever the time came for Elkanah to make an offering, he would give portions to Peninnah his wife and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah he would give a double portion, for he loved Hannah, although the Lord had closed her womb. And her rival also provoked her severely to make her miserable, because the Lord had closed her womb. So it was year by year, when she went up to the house of the Lord, that she provoked her. Therefore she wept and did not eat. Okay, so that's just the short first paragraph of chapter 1. And we can already tell, see what I'm doing? We can already tell that Hannah's having a problem. Okay, sticking with the subheadings. Hannah's vow. Samuel is born and dedicated. And we're talking about Samuel, 1 Samuel. Hannah's prayer, a very nice prayer worth reading. The wicked sons of Eli. Samuel's childhood ministry. Prophecy against Eli's household. Samuel's first prophecy. The Ark of God captured. I believe this means the Ark of the Covenant. Okay, anyway. The Ark of God is captured. Wow, that's worth a read. Do you mind? I'll stick with the program. Death of Eli, the Philistines and the Ark. I've got yellow highlight all over this. The Ark returned to Israel. The Ark at Kirjath Jearim. Samuel judges Israel. Israel demands a king. Saul is chosen to be king. This is where Saul comes in. Okay. Saul is anointed king. Saul is proclaimed king. Long live the king. Saul saves Jabesh Gilead. Samuel's address at Saul's coronation. Saul's unlawful sacrifice. No weapons for the army. Jonathan defeats the Philistines. Saul's rash oath. Saul's continuing wars. We're still in wars. We're still in wars. And you know, I was thinking about that last night. Israel, wow. There's just been war after war. War all the time. Saul spares King Agag. Saul rejected as king. David is anointed king. A distressing spirit troubles Saul. David and Goliath. We all learned about David and Goliath decades ago, long time ago. This would be an interesting read as well. David and Goliath. Oh, wow. Saul resents David. Saul. David marries Michal. David marries Michal. Saul persecutes David. Jonathan's loyalty to David. David and the holy bread. David flees to Gath. Gath. David's 400 men. Saul murders the priests. Ooh, was Saul a bad dude? Oh. David saves the city of Keilah. David spares Saul. Death of Samuel. David and the wife of Nabal. Nabal. David spares Saul a second time. David allied with the Philistines. This is a big read. The Philistines reject David. They reject David, and prior to this, David allied with the Philistines. So somewhere in that story, something went awry. David's conflict with Amalekites. The tragic end of Saul and his sons. And then I'll just read that last paragraph. Now when the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, all the valiant men arose and traveled all night and took the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons from the wall of Bethshan, and they came to Jabesh and burned them there. Then they took their bones and buried them under the tamarisk tree at Jabesh and fasted 7 days. Wow, you know what? Just reading the subheadings. This is an epic book. 1 Samuel. You know what? I think I'm going to combine this reading with 2 Samuel. The second book of Samuel, and I'll mark it first and second books of Samuel. The report of Saul's death, and I'll read that first one. Okay, now it came to pass after the death of Saul, when David had returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had stayed 2 days at Ziklag. On the 3rd day, behold, it happened that a man came from Saul's camp with his clothes torn and dust on his head. So it was when he came to David that he fell to the ground and prostrated himself. And David said to him, "Where have you come from?" He said, "I have escaped from the camp of Israel." David said, "How did the matter go? Please tell me." And he answered, "The people have fled from the battle. Many of the people are fallen and dead, and Saul and Jonathan his son are dead also." So David said to the young man who told him, "How do you know that Saul and Jonathan his son are dead?" The young man answered, "As I happened by chance to be on Mount Gilboa, there was Saul leaning on his spear, and indeed the chariots and horsemen followed hard after him. Now when he looked behind him, he saw me and called to me, and I answered, 'Here I am.' And he said to me, 'Who are you?' So I answered, I said, 'I am Amalekite.' He said to me again, 'Please stand over me and kill me, for anguish has come upon me, but my life still remains in me.' So I stood over him and killed him, because I was sure that he could not live after he had fallen. And I took the crown that was on his head and the bracelet that was on his arm, and have brought them here to my Lord," lowercase Lord. Therefore David took hold of his own clothes and tore them, and so did all the men who were with him. And they mourned and wept and fasted until evening for Saul and for Jonathan his son, for the people of the Lord, and for the house of Israel, because they had fallen by the sword. Then David said to the young man who told him, Where are you from?" And he answered, "I am the son of an alien, an Amalekite." So David said to him, "How was it you were not afraid to put forth your hand to destroy the Lord's anointed?" Then David called one of the young men and said, "Go near and execute him." And he struck him so that he died. So David said to him, "Your blood is on your own head, for your own mouth has testified against you, saying, 'I have killed the Lord's anointed.'" Samuel, 2 Samuel. A Song of the Bow, B-O-W. David anointed king of Judah. Ishbosheth made king of Israel, Judah, Israel and Judah at war. Wow. Sons of David, Abner joins forces with David. Joab murders Abner. David's mourning for Abner. David reigns over all Israel. The conquest of Jerusalem. Wow, this is getting bigger and bigger. The Philistines defeated. The ark brought to Jerusalem. God's covenant with David. David's thanksgiving to God. David's further conquests. David's administration. David's kindness to Mephibosheth. The Ammonites and Syrians defeated. David, Bathsheba, and Uriah. Ah, this is the David and Bathsheba story. I don't think that's for kids. Nathan's parable and David's confession. The death of David's son. Solomon is born. Reba is captured. Amnon and Tamar. Absalom murders Amnon. Absalom flees to Geshur. Absalom returns to Jerusalem. David forgives Absalom. Absalom's treason. Mephibosheth's servant. Oh, sorry, prior to that, David escapes from Jerusalem. Then Mephibosheth's servant, Shimei, curses David. The advice of Ahithophel. The advice of Hushai. Hushai warns David to escape. Absalom's defeat and death. David hears of Absalom's death. David's mourning for Absalom. This is heavy stuff. David returns to Jerusalem. David's mercy to Shimei. David and Mephibosheth meet. David's kindness to Barzillai. The quarrel about the king. The rebellion of Sheba. David's government officers. David avenges the Gibeonites, Philistine giants destroyed. The giants are destroyed. Ooh. Praise for God's deliverance. Oh boy, that's beautiful. David's last words, David's mighty men, David's census of Israel and Judah, the judgment on David's sin, the altar on the threshing floor, and then the final paragraph, the altar on the threshing floor. And Gad came that day to David and said to him, "Go up, erect an altar to the Lord on the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite." So David, according to the word of Gad, went up to the Lord commanded, as the Lord commanded. Now Araunah looked and saw the king and his servants coming toward him. So Araunah went out and bowed before the king with his face on the ground. Then Araunah said, "Why has my lord the king come to his servant?" And David said, "To buy the threshing floor from you, to build an altar to the Lord, and that the plague may be withdrawn from the people." Now Araunah said to David, "Let my lord the king take and offer up whatever seems good to him. Look, here are oxen for burnt sacrifice, and threshing implements, and the yokes of the oxen for wood. All these, O king, Araunah has given to the king." Araunah said to king, "May the Lord your God accept you." And then the final paragraph. Then the king said to Araunah, "No, but I will surely buy it from you for a price, nor will I offer burnt offerings to the Lord my God with that which costs me nothing." Interesting. So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen for 50 shekels of silver. And David built there an altar to the Lord and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. So the Lord heeded the prayers of the land, and the plague was withdrawn from Israel. So this plague, even though I was reading just the subheadings, there apparently was a plague in here someplace. So that's 1st and 2nd Samuel. Very heavy, heavy, heavy readings. I hope that you enjoyed this. The next one will be the first book of Kings. I have a note here that this was written in 970 BC. This is way back there, way back there. Okay, I'm loving this. Thank you so much. God bless you. I love you. And I will see you next time for the first book of Kings. Okay? Thanks. Bye.